What a great time to be a Giant, be a fan of the Giants.
Like, we have something going here. We're building something special, and, you know, you can see it from the outside and inside. It's even more beautiful.
Reflecting on everything that got me here, just to see that uniform, and, you know, I watched, that's the team I watched the most growing up because my dad was a Giants fan, so.
Once a Giant, always a Giant. For me, it's only a Giant.
Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of All In with Art Stapleton, a New York Giants podcast brought to you by NorthJersey.com and The Record. I'm your host, Art Stapleton, and we are days away from Week 2. Things kick off tonight in Philadelphia, where the Giants season ended last year. Eagles, Vikings, the team that the Giants beat to get to Lincoln Financial Field, where they lost for the third time against their rivals. Why are we bringing all this up? Well, there's this kind of feeling that's swelling now that the Giants season ended in Week 1 on Sunday night against the Cowboys, 40-0. We've already been through on our post-game podcast. I followed that up in print in The Record and also online at NorthJersey.com. The idea that what could have gone wrong went wrong for the Giants on opening night. And for 1 week anyway, and for the time being, the Giants and the gap between them and the top of the NFC East and the NFC in general, the gap has widened considerably. What does that all have to do with Week 2 heading to Arizona? Well, ultimately, nothing. If they can recover mentally, physically, and emotionally, the Giants have a very good chance of being 1-1 when the festivities end up at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona on Sunday. We will be there. This is a 7-day, 2-game road trip for the Giants. Rare in football. Although it's interesting, you'll hear from Darren Waller later talk about how he's done it now for the third time, going from the East Coast to the West Coast, and then the West Coast last year in Vegas, playing down and staying in Florida when they were able to do that short flight. And on today's show, 3 interviews for you. Isaiah Simmons going back to Arizona. Got to spend time with him yesterday. We have that interview for you. Simmons talking about what it's going to be like for him heading to his old stadium and the place he was for 4 years. The Cardinals drafted him number 8 overall in 2020. And then interviews from today, Saquon Barkley and Darren Waller. They are next to each other. Their lockers are next to each other in the locker room. You got stuff from Saquon and Waller, both captains. Waller's hamstring doing much better. Practiced today. Had a vet day on his birthday yesterday. And it's a big game for the big players on this team on Sunday, especially with the 49ers looming next Thursday in Santa Clara. And I think in terms of where the Giants are, you're going to be looking for how they respond. This is a better team than Arizona, at least on paper, and they've got to go out there and prove it on Sunday. We'll have a heck of a lot more on our game day preview podcast for Sunday morning from Arizona. I will be on the entire trip with the Giants, so make sure you keep checking our podcast, our newsletter coming out Friday with interesting things on one of the equipment men in the locker room for the Giants, Harrison Eisen. He's part of the fabric here with the Giants. Kind of talk about that a little bit. Set up the scene for what they're waiting for this week. And everything else about what's going on with the Giants. But up first, it's Isaiah Simmons, whose role on this team will continue to increase. And you know, even though he wouldn't say it, Wink Martindale did, the juices are going to be flowing on Sunday for Simmons, wanting to make a big play to help this team get in the win column.
I think exactly where we would be as if it would be won. When you come into work, you gotta look at the film the same, win, lose, or draw. Take the good take the bad, learn from everything, and you have to move on to the next week. So even if the score is reversed, whatever, you got to move on to the next week. So we got the corrections in. Moving forward, we know what we need to do to execute at a higher level. And, like I said, everybody in here is focused on Arizona. All that's in the past now. And that's how it would be if we won. So, we're treating everything the same.
Do you feel like your role is going to expand as the weeks go on here? Is that what you're hoping for? And do you feel like that's going to happen?
I mean, obviously, I want to be out there every snap, but everything is left up to the coaches and what their plan to do with me each week is. As I'm still learning everything. So.
Is your position now is it straight inside linebacker? Do you feel like, or are you a hybrid? Or if you had to name it, would it?
I don't know. It's tough. I'm still learning. The ins and outs of the defense, so it's hard to just come out right now and say like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be doing this, that, and the third. Just because, like I said, I'm still learning everything. Like. Everything. So
were you working exclusively at safety in Phoenix?
Yeah.
So that's had to be a little bit of adjustment, I guess.
Not much. I mean, I played it before.
I know you played it, right.
Yeah, I played it before, so not much of an adjustment.
How scary is that when a teammate goes down like Amani in practice?
Oh, very scary. Just personally, I don't take any play for granted out there. And just knowing that any play could be your last play. I think the world has kind of got like a feel of that. Just just with how last season went about, and so therefore, like me personally, I don't take any play lightly, and I'm thankful for every play I get to play. And to me, that kind of stuff is really, really scary. Praying for him and his family because it impacts more than just him. It impacts us as well. Just that's one of our brothers out there, so. I hate seeing any type of injury, regardless of who it is, when it happens. So,
what was your view of it? Like, were you?
I didn't see what happened. I just kind of saw the aftermath.
How dangerous are some of Arizona's skill players? Connor, Hollywood, Rondale. What challenges do they present?
I think the skill players, they have really big play abilities. We've all seen what James Conner can do. Rondo Moore, Hollywood Brown, they got world-class speed. We all know what Buda Baker can do, Jalen Thompson. So, I feel like that their skill players do have a big skill set on what they can do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You missed the beginning. Do you have a second? As long as the cameras don't come.
Can we make it quick though?
Yeah. Going back there, you may not feel that kind of emotion, but is it going to be weird going into the other locker room, going into a stadium that you've played in before, but you're not playing where you used to play?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't even really all that extra stuff going around it that stuff I really don't truly that doesn't bother me. Doesn't I guess I just don't really care. Just excited for the opportunity to play. I'm not treating this game no different, studying no harder, just because this is the team that drafted me. I'm thankful that, they gave me my first chance in the NFL, but, now I'm a Giant and, I'm just focused on the next task at hand each and every week. And this week it just happens to be Arizona. So, like I said, all the extra stuff, that's all distractions. None of that stuff's going to make me play better, make me play worse. All it could do is make you play worse just because you're clouding it in your mind. So, me personally, I just choose to keep all that stuff away and to the side and just leave it where it's at because, like I said, it's not going to help me. It's not going to help our team. Right. Because, I used to be a Cardinal. That stuff. I've moved. I've turned a new page. Like I said, I play for a new organization, and I'm grateful that that they believe in me and give me the opportunity that they have. and I'm just going from there.
The one thing that struck me as I thought about it, you tell me the difference, you probably never sat down and scouted and broken down film of the Cardinals offense, right? I mean, you played against them, you lived it, but it's not like you took your tablet out and started breaking down guys.
Right.
Is that different? Is that weird? Have you picked up anything by doing that maybe you didn't know by facing them in practice every day?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely a little different. The only good thing about it is, I feel like I've seen a lot of the plays before just from camp,
Right.
So that's a plus, but I feel like every defensive guy, you always mess around with your teammates. You're always like, oh, if we played against you guys, but now the time.
Now the time's here.
Yeah, now the time really came. So, it just is what it is. I'm treating them just like I studied for Dallas, just like I'll study for San Francisco, just like I'll study for the week after, so.
In terms of, the idea you said, you come in Monday and it's another game, turn the page. Mm-hmm. Is there an emotional component that is good to have coming off of a game like you had on Sunday? Or are you one of those guys who wants to block out all the emotions of what happened on Sunday night?
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people who just likes to block everything out because, last week if I had 2 interceptions and a strip sack, I can't go into this week riding on that high horse just like, a game like our game was. You can't come in here head down and whatnot. You got to treat everything the same. You just have to continue to treat every single week the same. So, I just don't forget not that I forgot what happened, but put it behind us and learn from what I had to learn from and continue to move along.
Now you haven't been back in that stadium, right, since you left?
No.
Is there anybody to take the football out of things? Guys always talk about equipment guys, people security guys.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Are you kind of looking forward to that? Seeing
absolutely.
those guys?
I loved everybody. I loved everybody. I feel like I got along very well with just anybody from people who work the door to, the owner of the Cardinals. I'm a people person. I feel like I talk to everyone, got along with everyone well. So it'll be nice to see a lot of familiar faces again, be able to say hello once again. So, taking all the football part out of it, it'll be nice to see some people. And, I also have some friends that, I've created that are still on the team. So it'll be nice to see some of my friends as well after the game.
And then that just pretty much, then it's represent the blue and that's it.
Sure. I mean, up until the end of the game, I'm all Giants. I don't really like to do all the friendly stuff until the game is over. So when the game's over, then I'll get to say hello to everybody.
And hope that's with a W.
For sure. That's
appreciate it. So there you have the interview with Isaiah Simmons. Obviously, most of that was one-on-one. We also had a couple reporters there at the beginning with the crowd. So I kind of stepped back a little bit, waited for the cameras to clear, and then Isaiah was gracious enough to talk with me a little bit for the pod. So I appreciate him. And now let's get to the interviews with Saquon Barkley and Darren Waller. Kind of give you a sense of what's going on. It was in the group. I certainly asked some questions, but I want to give you a feel for what's going on inside the locker room with the Giants this week in terms of what the leaders on this team are saying, and certainly 2 offensive leaders, Saquon Barkley and Darren Waller.
I'm assuming you're talking about Dallas. Kind of same feeling how I felt after the game. Obviously, it's disappointing. We didn't compete at the level we needed to. We didn't execute the way we needed to, but can't harp on that too much. It's the NFL. It's a new week, and we can't let what happened in week 1 affect us in week 2. And Arizona's a really good team. They play really hard. Defense ran to the ball really well against Washington, tackled really well, and played really physical. So we got a tough challenge against them, and we just got to come out and play the football that we know we can.
You talked a bunch about how last year week 1 kind of got you rolling, right? You guys obviously know what you have coming up ahead. Short week, San Francisco on the road Monday night after that. Is it fair to say at this point, though, that it's a big game even though it's so early?
Yeah, it's a big game. It's because of the next game. That's always the mentality. You got to try to win as many games as you can. You only guaranteed 17, and right now we lost one of them. So you got to go out there on the road, get a really good team, and try to find a way to come out with one.
What's the mentality been among your teammates, you and your teammates, in the wake of that loss? What's the mentality been?
We went back, we watched film as a team, see the little good we did in that game, recognize the bad, where we didn't execute, and we moved on. Good teams recover too. It's not going to be the only adversity throughout this year. So we got to see how we respond, and it's on us as players and on us as leaders to make sure that doesn't happen.
Can you tell if there are tangible things from the last couple of days of practice that have proven to you guys in your own minds that you have moved on?
I think, to be completely honest, the only time we really even reflect on it is, when we got to talk to you guys, and I know you guys are doing your job and asking the right questions, but we're so far gone on that. Like I said, you can't let what happened in week 1 affect you in week 2. We can learn from it, but we got to move on. And there wasn't really anything different, anything that I noticed. To be honest, we felt we had a great preparation week in practice the week before. Sometimes the game just don't go your way, and unfortunately that was on a lot of our mistakes. But we got to prep even better, and I think we've been doing that so far. We got to wrap it up tomorrow on Friday, and then on Saturday, obviously, with walkthroughs and traveling out there and try to get the job done on Sunday.
You mentioned some small positives. I guess what were the good things that stood out to you?
In any game, win, loss, draw, you're gonna be able to find the good. You're gonna find the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think it was important for the coaches to also show us the good that we did do in that game. Obviously, it wasn't a lot, especially in a game like that. But go back and watch film, see what we can improve on, and make the adjustments, which we did. And now, how can we attack Arizona? And they got a really good team, great coach. Obviously, we're really familiar with him, his defensive scheme, with him being in Philly, going against him twice or 3 times last year. But it's a exciting test. They're a fun defense, and we're going to be very fun.
How does that impact the preparation, knowing Gannon and the defense that he ran?
I want to say impact. There's a lot of familiarity there. He's a really good coach, and obviously we know how the last 3 games went last year against them. But obviously it's a different team, it's a new team. But it's important games, the next game, and we want to get back on track.
When you guys are backs against the wall, do you look at this kind of game as an opportunity to put the team on your back when the team really desperately needs a good feeling and a win?
You talking personally?
Yeah.
I don't think it's I don't think that's the mindset. I kind of let myself get trapped in that before. A couple years ago against Pittsburgh on I think it was Sunday or Monday night. I didn't have too well of a game, and the next week I came out with I want to do this and do that and try to be a superhero and make all these plays, and I ended up tearing my ACL. So I won't allow myself to ever really get caught up in that. I want to be the guy for my team every single week, no matter what happened prior to the week before. I want to go out there and make plays, and when the plays are called for me, go out there and make it for my team.
You really think that's what happened in that game when you tore your ACL? You were trying to do too much?
I think everything in that week kind of led up to it, but that was so long ago. I just won't allow myself to get caught up in that again. So came in like my usual self. The time I come in, get my body work done, come here and get my workout in, and go on the field and practice hard and try to be the player I can for my team and be the leader I can be.
Do you find it a little confusing that for the first series you looked like a well-oiled machine, and then after that it never came back?
That's it. That's on us. We got to stop the bleeding, and we didn't do that. That's how games like that get out of hand, especially against a really good team, and that's any team in the NFL, to be honest. So, like I said, you can't let the mistakes happen in week 1 or the way we feel because how we lost in week 1 carry over week 2. But you definitely can learn from it too. So there's going to be times in this game where we got to stop the bleeding, and that's on us, the players, to make those plays. And hopefully we're able to do that this week. I wouldn't say that, but we do have a lot of young guys on the team and a lot of rookies playing, and your first game to go like that. It's not how you expect your NFL career to start. But I do believe that being a leader, being voted one of the captains, not only myself but all the guys, we're people who guys look to, and it all depends how we come in, what's our demeanor, how we going to approach it. So that's important. I think not only myself, but I think all the guys did a really good job, and I think we responded. And just like last week, we had a great week of practice, and now we got to wrap it up with Friday and go walkthroughs on Saturday.
Feel good. Practice today. Running around doing normal stuff, so feel good.
Anything coming out of that game where you needed to do anything special, anything different, anything out of the ordinary? Because obviously you had the hamstring earlier in the week.
Just normal daily routine that I've been on. Back to feeling good at practice. Felt better this week at practice than I did last week, so that's all you can ask for.
Just wanted to clarify what you mentioned after the game. You said it's a nerve issue in your hamstring, right? Is that what it was also last year, the nerve issue?
Nah, I pulled my hamstring. It's like, sometimes it's like in that area, like maybe like some scarring can get built up in that area, can become just kind of like just a lot going on in that area, and it can like compress the nerve a little bit, so like you can feel like pinch a little bit. So it's just a matter of like getting that stuff out of there.
So now it's a nerve issue from the previous muscular damage. But when people hear nerve issue, they're like, oh geez, but it sounds like from what you're saying, this is something that
it's not like
kinked out, or for lack of a better term, or work out the kinks
Okay. Certain things like nerve gliding, getting your pelvis a little bit more mobile, things like that. So it's not anything severe.
Okay.
So you tweaked it?
I feel like it's more so like a compression in that area, so it's just like opening up the areas around it, but not really like a hamstring strain like you think of normally.
What do you think of the plan? Dable said that the plan's going to be basically give you off once a week. I guess it's generally on Wednesdays as sort of like a vet day.
I just trust whatever the coaches have in mind, because I want to be out there and work, and sometimes to my own detriment, I'll run myself into the ground. So it's good to have a plan, and I feel like I'm always going to trust what the coaches and the people above me have to say and their opinion. So I'm just going to follow what they want me to do.
Darren, what have you learned about this team in the last couple of days after Sunday night?
I feel like it's a team with a short memory. Sometimes you got to have in this league, because things aren't always going to go the way you want them to. Last week, this past game was very unfortunate as far as the results concerned, but at the end of the day, it's not the start we would have imagined, but we still have plenty more opportunities, and I feel like guys took that into account and practiced with a lot of energy this week.
There's a lot of anticipation for your debut. Obviously, it didn't go well on the scoreboard, but aside from that, what did you feel like on Sunday?
I feel like there was good things to take away. I feel like there's opportunities to be had in the passing game. I feel like I was creating separation on a lot of different occasions, so just trying to carry that over to this week in practice and into the next week, because at the end of the day, just to make yourself available to the quarterback is what I can do and what I can do, and I want to keep controlling that.
So you guys have talked, like you have here just now, about how encouraged they've been about practice, tempo, and energy this week. What are you envisioning from the response for this team on Sunday? How you guys are playing?
Just the overall details and the small things and the consistency on the offensive side. Because like you said, we had a good start, good first drive. There were some good plays in there, but as far as the consistency, that lacked last Sunday, and that's where I feel like we'll step up the most.
What do you think about this kind of road trip a little bit? I mean, I know you're not looking ahead to the game, but the idea that when you leave here on Saturday, you're essentially not returning back to Jersey until after week 3. What's that like for just a player going into it, how you're preparing yourself?
It's uncomfortable. It's my third time doing it. I did it once my rookie year, going from the East Coast to the West Coast. Did it last year going from the West Coast. Played in New Orleans and stayed in Florida and played the Jaguars. So it's a little bit uncomfortable. You still got to just find ways to keep your routine going, despite being in a hotel or being on the road a little bit more. It's not what the trip you'd imagine. You'd want to just go play and then come back home, but that's not the cards we've been dealt, and you got to handle it because that's just reality.
Particularly if you are.
Is it hard not to lump the two games together because of that?
You can, but it just takes being present and knowing there's no point, there's no advantage to me looking forward to a game when I have an opponent right in front of me that is talented and could very well beat me if I'm not completely focused.
How much do you think you can individually help this team get on track?
I feel like for me, I can control starting with leadership, starting with encouraging guys, empowering guys to move on and be excited about the opportunity this week. And also, like I said, just continuing to get open, create separation, make myself available to DJ whenever opportunities present themselves, and just go from there.
So there you have it. Saquon Barkley, Darren Waller. I think they kind of laid things out the way you'd expect. Heard this a lot, and I think Brian Dable started it off in the team meeting earlier this week. You can't let one game beat you in 2 games. And that comes to the emotional aspect, the physical aspect. Where will the Giants be health-wise? Obviously, on the Game Day podcast on Sunday morning, we'll have the most up-to-date information you can have. But as of right now, Andrew Thomas with a hamstring was a limited participant in practice on Thursday. Right now, if I had to lean towards it, I don't think Andrew plays on Sunday. I think you'll see Matt Parrott at left tackle. I don't know if you're going to see many other changes on the offensive line. Could be, but I'm not sure right now. I don't have a good feel for that. Waller was a limited participant, but he says he's good to go on Sundays. The hamstring is not an issue. He was coming back from a rest day, as I said, and it'll be interesting to see how everything else takes shape. So it's Giants-Cardinals Sunday. We will be in Tempe. The game is in Glendale. We'll have availability with the Giants post-game on Monday and Tuesday in Tempe, Arizona, and then flying to San Francisco. The game obviously is in Santa Clara. Thursday night football, Giants 49ers. But you can't get to the 49ers without playing the Cardinals first. And the Giants desperately need a victory on Sunday. And as we get closer I'll give you our game day preview podcast. I will have a prediction, which did not go so well last week. That's safe to say. So, can they put 40-0 in the rearview mirror? It's certainly possible, and they're going to have to if they're going to try to settle this season down a little bit. So, if you're jumping off the bandwagon, I hope you still stay all in, because we're all in, thick or thin. Hope you are too. Hope you enjoyed today's show, and we'll catch you on the weekend from Arizona.